this happen? When did you know you wanted to become a filmmaker? What did you do? How did you go about it?
Well, I think the first film I remember having seen as a child is a film called Pune, and this happens to be Vayanthimala's first film. This was way back. I must have been 7 something. This is the film that I remember. And somehow, I don't know, from that point onwards, films became a fascination. I was hooked for good, really hooked for good. And when it started, after that, I kept on seeing films. And when you came to high school, then we used to freak out. This ecstasy of freaking out of the house without anybody knowing and going and sitting in the movie theater. I used to enjoy those things. I was going on seeing films and films and films only. So by the time I was finishing high school, I was in a Jesuit college, in the sense Jesuit school, run by American Jesuits, priests. And there was this Jesuit father, a priest. He was a film bug. So he had a 16mm Bell and Howell projector in the school. And he had this habit of showing us film classics from the world. So by the time I left high school, I had seen Bicycle Thieves, Louisiana Story, and all these so-called classics of the world. But this passion for cinema was going on and on and on. Then at that point of time, I became seriously interested in literature, thanks to my father, who introduced me to all the Sangam literature of the Tamil era. After some time, I started writing myself, short stories, poems, literary criticisms, essays, film reviews and all that. So by the time I finished college, and I was really hooked onto films, cinema. I had started a film society at that time, and we were running a literary magazine at that time. I was the editor for that. And a lot of creative activity was there. A friend of mine had a 8mm camera. We used to freak around with that. So for my 14th birthday, I forgot to tell this. For my 14th birthday, my father gave me a small Kodak camera as a birthday present. To this date, I really don't know why my father decided to give me a camera, because he was not interested in photography, and neither was I. And then I started fooling around with that. I used to spend all my pocket money in buying film rolls and all that. When I realized that people were liking my photographs, that made me to take more and more photographs. This was the beginning point of my photographic, this career, so-called thing, the beginning point of my creativity. Later, I went on to buy some expensive cameras, and by the time I finished college, I had won some foreign magazine amateur award competitions, awards in some foreign magazines. After college, I was employed for some time. For 2 years, I was working in a survey department. And from there, that was only a stepping stone. I was working there just waiting for the chance to get out of it and go and study filmmaking somewhere. There was one more thing, brilliant thing that happened in my childhood, which I must tell you, was when we were in high school, we were taken by the high school for an excursion. And this priest whom I told you, this film bug, he came to know that there was a film shooting, a film named Bridge on the River Koi. And that shooting was taking place in a place called Canby. And we were somewhere nearby. And this priest, actually, he probably wanted to see the shooting. So he dragged all of us to the shoot. And we went there it was bright sunlight, and we were standing there, and it was pin drop silence. Nobody made any noise. And suddenly, this person in a banyan and half pants, half trousers, I was told that he was the chief there. I didn't know this word director at that point of time. I was told that he's the boss there. Then he just shouted, "Everything ready?" They said ready. Then he quietly came near the camera. I was just behind the camera, standing a little way away from the camera. He simply shouted, "Rain!" Suddenly, to my horror and to my shock, it started raining. When he shouted rain, it started raining. Now, I just couldn't believe my eyes. I just couldn't believe my eyes. I thought I was standing in the presence of God himself. I would have knelt down and prayed if it was now. And that made a tremendous impression on me. This guy, I was told that this guy was called David Lean. Later I came to know that this is one of the most famous British directors. He made Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai, Dr. Shivago, and all these memorable films. So this person shouting for rain, when he shouts rain, it rains. It probably went into my psyche and I wanted to be that person. I just wanted to be that person, rainmaker. I decided, suppose if I shout one day rain and if it rains, how good it would be. And this was one beautiful thing that happened in my childhood.
I'm sure there were lots of times when you used to shout it rain and it rained. Did you ever imagine there must have been some little kid there going,
Yes, definitely. Why little kid? I brought my wife for the shoot one day and she went gaga on it. She couldn't believe and she was puzzled as to where this water is coming from. So now I shout rain and it rains. Now, for my Moondrampurai, I had this whole train at my disposal, in Ooty, in Keti, that Ooty train, that beautiful Blue Mountain Express, that beautiful train. So I had this at my disposal. I said, you go back and come again. So the train goes back and it was very amusing, very, very amusing. And till about 10 years old or something, I wanted to be an engine driver. I liked that smoke of that engine, that smoke, the smell. That was beautiful. So I wanted to be an engine driver. I have this recollection in my present film. This is how things work, Something that goes into your psyche when you are a child, it comes out as part of your creativity years later. I have this boy says, I am looking for a job, and the girl says, remember you wanted to be an engine driver. Are you still looking for that job? This girl asks. So I applied for a lot of American colleges which had cinema as a subject for degree. And 2 colleges gave me admission. One was Boston University and the other one was Harvard University. But the expenses were exorbitant. Then this Boston University admissions officer, a lady, she wrote back and told me that what you're looking for probably is a professional filmmaking course. And we teach academy. Our institutions are purely academic courses. If you really want a professional training, you have to go to a film institute. Then she only suggested there is an institute in Pune. So I applied for Pune and went through the formalities, got through the exams, ended up in the film school at Pune.
And that's how it all began.
That's where it started.
So now photography was and still is a very big part of your life.
Yes.
And photography also happens to be a huge aspect in cinema.
Yes.
So could you tell me what's the proper way of photography in cinema? I mean, is there a routine that is followed? Is there a proper method?
Yes, one has to be very, very faithful to the script. In cinema, nothing else can go out of the script. Nothing should stand away from the script. Everything should be demanded by the script, whether it be photography or whether it be performances or whether it be costume, whether it is a set or whatever it is. It has to be demanded by the script. Nothing should be
just added on for sake.
Added on for the sake of adding. It should not be seen as a separate thing. It should not be seen as a separate thing. Nothing will have a separate existence without the script. So, if you ask me what is good photography for a film, there are different kinds of films. There are films which are realistic in approach. There are films which are purely fantasies, fairy tales and things like that. Even in fairy tales, you try to be as realistic as possible. Even in cartoons, you try to be real. Ultimately, it comes down to you try to be as realistic as possible. So for me, good photography in cinema, that is, I belong to this school which very adamantly believes realism. I want to be as natural as possible and as realistic as possible. And for me, good photography for this kind of a film, a realistic film, is this guy sitting in the cinema theatre in the darkness. When he is seeing my shot, he should have this doubt. He should suspect that I have taken this shot without using any lights. I have simply exposed my material on the available light that was there, and I have not used any other lights. He must get this doubt. I might have used 10-15 lights to get that effect, but that's different. If he gets this doubt that this thing, some cameraman has secretly gone there and shot it there without using any lights, without disturbing anything. If he gets this doubt, this is the best photography for me. I try to do that all the time. Not only photography, performance also is that. The guy must suspect this is not a written scene, this is not a rehearsed scene. This is something happening in life. Some guys must have gone secretly and covered it. This is the ideal thing for a realistic film, which wants to be realistic, yes.
Now, I've got some questions for you. This is out of like me wanting to know and loving watching films. Every movie India's ever made, or from the beginning to now, have songs in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's music. So, what's your thought on, songs in movies?
Greg, songs are a part of our life, our culture. You go to a funeral and there is a song there. They cry with this is called oppari. And you go to the field, while harvesting, they sing. So songs are a part of our culture, part of our life. So that, I think, creeped into the films also. And though I am a little uneasy in using songs myself, but working in the mainstream cinema, it becomes inevitable. And I have no hassles in using songs in a film, provided they fit into the situation, provided they are well picturized, and doesn't become a unwanted thing. I am very uneasy in using lip songs, I don't allow my hero, my artist to sing around and dance around.
Dance around trees.
And I just hate that. I don't do that. And otherwise, lip songs can be, if somebody is singing on a stage, or a mother is singing a lullaby, or someone is
in the rain,
whatever it is, yeah. But certainly not when two people are in love, and not the so-called duet, singing and dancing around. And I don't do that. I'm very uneasy regarding that. But nowadays, songs have become meaningless, almost meaningless. I feel very sad that songs have lost their charm, I feel very sad.
No sense of purpose.
No sense of purpose. Just for the heck of having a song, there is a song.
It's like a separate entity on its own.
Totally. Now, and I'm not trying to be critical, but a film nowadays has come to be, the story has come to be a thin outline to link 5 songs and 4 fights.
Yeah, true. Now, also, from being like, a person that loves sitting down and going to movies myself, everybody now becoming smarter. All the people that have gone, sat and watched films, at least as far as South India is concerned, people are starting to sit down and concentrate and look at story and backline and even cinematography.
Yes.
Yeah, so, there's a big bunch of new cinematographers out there, and you being a legend, what do you think about the new batch that's in?
I have great admiration for the younger crop of cinematographers. They are wonderful guys. All of them are doing very good work, Most of them are doing excellent jobs. And recently I saw a film called Kadal, which was done by a young cinematographer called Vijaya Milton. By God, this guy is too good, yeah. I became a fan of him. And he is really nice. And there are so many others. Jiva is there, Ratnaveli is there, Ravi Varman is there, and Tangar Bachchan is there. And of course, Vijay Milton I mentioned earlier. So many young cinematographers. who are wonderful, who are doing excellent job. I feel very happy. Particularly in the field of cinematography, I feel happy that it is going up and up. The quality of cinematography is going up and up. I cannot say this regarding the other departments. Ravi K. Chandran, Ravi is brilliant. Ravi is absolutely brilliant. Sunny Joseph, Saji Karun. These guys are international quality. I feel very happy for these guys.
We've been talking about cinematographers and changes in films and everything, and I know an enormous amount of people that studied with me and passed out with me, and if they're getting into media, everyone that wants to go into film has to be like an assistant at some point of time to learn. I mean, hands-on experience. So what about your assistants? What does it take to be an assistant of Balu Mahendra? What's it like?
I insist that anybody who wants to be an assistant in my unit, he or she has to be first, number one, they have to be interested in literature, in writing. They should be voracious readers. And this I insist. And most of the assistants in my unit are graduates. There's a guy who is an electronic graduate. Now I have my first assistant director, associate director, a guy called Vettimaran, and there is another guy called Suresh Khanna. He is a lawyer. And these two guys are going to make their first films. And I'm really waiting like an expectant father to see my children's
Achievements.
Yeah, achievement. They're good. They're good.
Last thing, what would you
And
like to...
among my assistants, I should tell you, there's one more guy who really made it to the top now. This is the guy, this is Bala, who was with me, whom I trained for more than 8 or 9 years.
Pitamahan
Bala, yes.
I wanted to ask you about, like, what did you think about Pitamahan since you saw the film? Because I think it was brilliant.
I loved it. I loved the film. And Bala was with me. He started from the low, He was in my production department. He was from the spot boys when he started with me. Then I sensed something in him, and slowly I trained him. And he is one of the brilliant directors in Tamil Nadu now.
Definitely.
One of the brilliant, I could even say one of the best in India now.
Actually, believe it or not, I sat down and I interviewed, when I was interviewing Vikram and Surya and everybody, and I asked them, what's Bala like as a director? And they go, Bala is the kind of person that demands absolute reality in a person. And those are qualities that you were stressing about from the first time we met.
Yes.
So I guess there is a lot of you in Bala, like father to son.
Naturally. This has to go on, from Balu to Bala, and from Bala to somebody else. It has to go on.
Beautiful.
That is how things grow,
The young cinematographers and directors and actors and everyone watching us at home, you have anything to tell them? Is there something you'd like to share with us?
I don't believe in this, in giving an advice, but I will share some of my thoughts with you. If you are really interested in cinema, and if you want to become a filmmaker in any field, whether an actor or a cinematographer or a director or an editor, whatever it is, and don't give up, and keep this fire burning. If you are passionate enough, if your passion is very strong, you will somehow end there. You will reach it, definitely. And for me, I will end this interview like this. For me, cinema is 24 passion, 24 frames per second. Cinema is passion, 24 frames per second. That is cinema to me.
Beautiful.
And if this passion is there, you can always reach wherever you want to go. Only thing is, this passion must be true, and you must be true to yourself. Keep trying, keep knocking. You will reach.
So is it basically, are you a very set person, routine-wise, discipline-wise?
No, as far as my work is concerned, Craig, I'm very, very disciplined. I'm very systematic. I try for perfection to the last, and that is as far as my work is concerned. But as a person, in my personal life, I am the clumsiest guy in the world. If you come to my bedroom, probably that my bedroom is the clumsiest bedroom in the world. I don't know how this contradiction is there. I try so hard so passionately to be perfect on the screen. And you look at me, I'm very clumsy in the way I live, and I'm very strong in my attitudes, very, very strong in my attitudes. I don't give up my values.
Well, you know what they say, geniuses, Albert Einstein,
Cranky.
Balu Mahendra.
See, they have their cranky side also.
Well, they do. Do you?
Of course I have. Of course I have. I told you, this clumsiness is one of my cranky sides.